Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I am your primary host, DBJ, and all of you are the co hosts on this channel as we talk about an hour or so in this TriCast podcast, open form, unscripted communications we have here. And we are going through a world building series. We've done this before on the channel. This time we're taking the classic categories, the schools of magic from Dungeons and Dragons, and we are world building. And this time we have gotten to enchantment magics. Now, we aren't just talking about wizards that can cast enchantment magic, but we're talking, since we are world building, we are saying that this kind of power, this magic has infused the setting and may be available to, of course, many other character classes, monsters. It has shaped our world. And so with enchantment magics, it involves the mind. A very simple description is enchantment spells affects the minds of others, influencing or controlling their behavior. The school includes the spells Charm Person and Mind Fog. A wizard who specializes in enchantment is known as an enchanter or enchantress. And the the idea behind these categories of magic as we understand them, there's a lot of overlap. So for example, there's we've had from our previous conversations about, well, in divination magic, as we talked about yesterday, where it's the power to extend your senses beyond the mortal coil, to hear and see things, and maybe even touch people's minds and see through walls and such. Hello there, Cam, and another one of our co-hosts here today, and of course, Dead Man is always here as one of our moderators, and there's a lot of overlap when it comes to these things because one of the comments that was made about divination magic was, well, the antithesis to that would be illusion magics, right? To cover yourself and not be detected. And so, thank you there, Wade. Oh man, Wade says, "Damn it, sir! How dare you be so intellectually stimulating as to make me want to get up at this hour to participate in this rant, rant, rant." It's 5 a.m. Damn it. And good morning to you all. I appreciate that, and I had to say it that way because that's like how I'm hearing it in my ear. So correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, crack of dawn here. Those of us here in the States, man, at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. Well, let me hold on. Let me give a slow clap to a hero out there at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm hoping I'm hoping Cam is coming in from like work or something, or maybe my dulcet tones lulls everyone to sleep. Thanks, Wade. Yeah, you're like spot on, brother. Hells yes. Oh man, thank you so much for that. But this is like my sponsor me, you sons of bitches. This is like my morning coffee in the morning. It's the mental version of how the hell do I get up, and other than like drinking something and fading away watching a television show, this is my way of like going like, oh man, get the mind, mind going. Ah, red dice. What's going on there? AL, here, do I hear some dulcet tones? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So we to reiterate, we are world building, and our world building series, we take something. Sometimes it's minor, like we world built with Medusas, we've world built with giants or oozes, like monsters and things. We even did a whole series where we world built with every character class as if it shaped the world, the core essential value of it. And so this time we've got down to enchantment magic. Cam's like, I work at night because it's quiet. I'm assuming because you don't like to hear the voices of idiots. I'm going to assume that's it. And Mofa says, I'm up for work at this time anyways, dreading if they make me go back to the office because I will have to be in the car during this time of day, time every day. Oof. You know what, guys? Um, Maybe I'll start this. You don't have to do this right now. I think I'm going to eventually start doing shout outs to like where you guys are at and what time it is. Just because it's a me for an old head like me, it's amazing that I'm able to communicate with you guys from like around the world and where you're at and what you're doing and things like that. And your time is valuable. You could be spending it anywhere, and just the fact you're spending it with me, I really appreciate that. All right, enough about me. Let's get back into this world building. So, enchantment magic is magic that affects the mind. Now, we do know moving into enchantment magic so much flows into divination magic, the extrasensory perceptions as well, because with the power of the mind, essentially enchantment magic. Let's be honest, enchantment magic, you could just reskin it as psionics and you're done. But but what the hell? I don't know why there's pet peeve. I don't know why there's resistance to just calling it psionics, but whatever. Sorry, have to start a fight with that one. But um, mental magics does kind of flow next to divination magic, and I can see people arguing the fact of like, well, if I can close my eyes and do the Professor X thing and sense your mind, isn't that divination magic? Well, probably, but also enchantment magic kind of flows into illusions, like using my the power of my mind to make you forget that I'm here, or have make you not see me as I'm standing next to you, or something like that. So yes, I do see some overlap. Now, Red Dice says, "Well, it's 11 a.m. here in the UK, and I'm listening whilst working from home." I love that word. I love that you use the word whilst naturally. We here in the States don't tend to do that, and I love it. I love it so much. Um, and of course, Wayne's mentioning that working at night does have that going for it. Oh, working at night, yeah, yeah. Oh man. Okay. One of the rules here I'm thinking of in contextualizing creating a world of enchantment, and I could see this very easily turning into a dictatorial draconian government similar to the divination one, is that if there is a power out there to affect the mind at all, that people's privacy and secrets and free will goes right out the window. As a matter of fact, while I don't feel the entire series was the best series, I think one of the depictions of one of the best villains was a show on here in the States, aired on Netflix, which is called Jessica Jones. And Jessica Jones, one of her um, um, major adversaries was a really relatively idiotic character known as the Purple Man. He was known as Kilgrave in a television show. And this individual had the ability to just basically tell any human being that could hear him what to do. The insidious part of it was, and we can go over this contention, this twist of effects in Dungeons and Dragons. Not only did this person have mind control, was it Kilgrave? Yeah. Not only could he tell you what to do, but the person was also convinced that they wanted to do the thing. And I loved it. I absolutely agree with you there, Red Dice. Yeah, Kilgrave was a very chilling villain, because not only were the people convinced that they wanted to do the thing, they didn't understand why. For example, Kilgrave was in New York City and wanted to go across the city, and why flag down a cab when a person goes to pick up his kid, and he tells the driver, the kid, he's like, take me somewhere. Yeah, yeah. David Tennant. Wayne's like, love David Tennant in that role. Oh my god, the way the casuals the casual way he was a sociopath in that role was terrible. So he gets a gentleman picking up his son. He basically says to the guy, "I need you to take me somewhere." And the guy's like, "Sure, get in the car." And his son is like, "Daddy." Now they don't show you this, but you hear this through the I guess you could call it like a mental control anonymous group. And the dad is driving David Tennant Kilgrave around the city, and of course the son in the back seat's like, What are you doing, Dad? This is a stranger. And Kilgrave tells the dad, hey, get rid of your kid. So the dad takes his son, puts him on the curb, and keeps driving. And then now the father, at the end of this, when Kilgrave gets to where he needs to go, no big deal. I don't care. He leaves, and doesn't give a shit about this dude. And the dad is like, I left my kid on the sun. I lost my wife. I lost custody of my child. I don't know why I wanted to do this thing, but I did it. I was like, oh my God, what a great, very subtle, but a great way to show this. This is just one individual with mind control. Now imagine like guilds or individuals gifted with this ability. Now, in Dungeons and Dragons, we do know that the the after effects and or the failed attempts to influence someone's mind, they may detect that is happening, and so we can kind of play with this because, as was mentioned very early in our world building series, that the magic in the player's handbook, the magic that's available for the characters, like flip through your players to flip through and pick for their character, that's your average magic. But just as we're able to use higher levels magic to make things more influential in a world building uh, effect, we could have various stages of charming and abilities that affect the mind where maybe people have deep-seated hypnotic controls inside of their brains to make them do things, to the point of even twisting someone's memories and or buying, selling, and trading memories as physical objects, such as what was brought up in Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, where you could take someone's memories and then you actually have them as almost like coinage that you could buy, sell, and buy and sell and such. And I love that. Red Dice Diary says it was very different to some of his other roles. He did a great job of portraying a thoroughly self-centered villain that you could really loathe. He needed throat punching quite a bit. He needed ass kicking every time he did that. I was like, oh, that's sad. It was so invasive. It was very, dare I say, rapey in terms of his ability to infect someone's mind, and the way he would discard people in general because of his power, and literally having zero, uh, not self control, but like he didn't have to wait. The one time he was sitting in the restaurant and was just, and you could hear people. It was loud because people were just having these conversations, but everyone's having similar conversations. So it was just this murmur, very loud. And he just yelled out, "Shut up!" And every single person just got quiet. I was like, "Damn, I love it." All right, the camera's like, Bilbo, Gandalf, where are you going? Gandalf says, to seek the company of the only around here who's got any sense. Bilbo, and who's that? Gandalf, the people of RPG with DBJ, Mr. Baggins. Now get out of my way, Bilbo, unless you're going to make a meal. Could you imagine that? Gandalf is like, I stopped by for food and it tastes terrible. I'm leaving. Oh man, you're fine, Cam. Um, TA says Thomas Anderson says scary thing is if this were real, we would have no way of knowing that such people existed either. See, and that's right. Like if 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 there's more than one person with mind control, and you thought to yourself that the orders given to you were your own desires, you would never know who these people were. And damn it, oh my God, it would be crazy. But even if you did know who they were, how scary is it that your body is doing things that your mind doesn't want to do, but you're like a puppet master or something? Oh man. And mind you, we can still flow we have to have adversaries in this, right? So anything that possesses a human being, like a ghost, there's fiendish and celestial adversaries would be something in this world. Exorcism might be a big thing as well. I definitely agree with that. TA goes on to say, and being a member of a small group interested in things like remote viewing and dreamscaping and experimenting with this with some measure of success like dreamscaping, I have to wonder what else is possible. Excuse me, what else is possible, and we are just not aware of as regular everyday people going about our business. And I think for a more subtle version of this, the those who can intrude other people's minds might be riders, viewers, hangers on, viewing through, say, the eyes of the population to see what they're doing, who they're interacting with, just as like a passive ability, as well as maybe trying to go into people's minds to get their secrets. And this might have to be like we can have various stages of this, like a newbie going with like because I'll start to pull up the spell effects here. A newbie might be something like, um, let's see, where are we? Here we go. Spell. A newbie might have to, you know, specifically look someone in the eye to get some secrets out of them, or whatever. Or maybe you're just an agent who's trying to find people with the weakest will, and the people with the weakest will are individuals that, oops, let's switch this around here. People with the weakest will are the ones you might want to recruit into your like herd of individuals and whatnot. Yeah. Oh man, you guys are ahead of me. Okay. Um, Wayne's like, yeah, like, well, have you ever found yourself doing something and wondering what the hell am I doing? You know, just saying, right? And not only that, but how many times in our lives have we traveled either to work or come home from work and forgotten the travel time? Like especially if you're someone who maybe gets on public transportation, or hell, even just driving somewhere, and you go into a supermarket, or you go to pick up some things, and you get home and you've got random items in your pockets and in a bag, and you stand there you're taking off your shoes or your jacket, and you're like, did I just, I don't rem- I got up from watching TV, I walked to the other room, what was going on in my head? Yeah, oh yeah, Dead Man brings up the fact that, you know, Vampire the Masquerade also had Obfuscate, which is a great ability. And I love, despite the fact that it wasn't the most powerful abilities, I love the lower level Vampire the Masquerade ability. There's one Vampire the Masquerade ability that I love the description, and it was like, you are undetectable by normal mortals as long as you stand still. And I love the image of that, of like the vampire who's standing in the middle of a crowd with people like in rush hour traffic, just like walking past them. And the fact that they're not moving means that no one can psychically see them, but they're standing there. And of course, other vampires can see them. But the fact that you have this individual staring at you like across the street, and there's people like walking past and not bumping into the person. I love that. I think there was another one where, as long as you stand next to something that's at least can cover at least half your body, you're unseen. So you could stand behind like a post office box or a light post or something that, of course, isn't hiding you, but you're just standing there like, yeah, look at you and me. Mike Gould brings up the Jedi mind trick. Yeah, ask yourself, how many people remember being victims of the Jedi mind trick in Star Wars? I'm going to have to say almost none of them, right? Because when he's like, these are not the droids you're looking for, you know, the stormtrooper is just like, nah, move along, and never remembers it. So in a way, what a great excuse to say, like, how did people forget there were Jedis? And it's because they made you forget that they were there. And most of the people that interacted with them were like, I don't remember seeing any Jedis. Yep. I don't want to go too fast, too far here in the chat. Um, mm, mm, mm. And I'll go back up. Okay, so Michael goes on to continue and says, when it comes to charm spells in D&D, read the spells carefully. Friends and charm person are the only ones, to my knowledge, where the target remembers the charm. And as you can see down here in the corner, I was going to pull up these charm, a number of these spells. So, for example, when we first start out, and this is a little pet peeve of mine, the the cantrip Vicious Mockery. I wish they had never called it Vicious Mockery, because if you forget the first line, this is basically a psychic attack, right? So, for example, if I do not read the first line, it says, if the target can hear you, though it need not understand you, it must make a wisdom saving throw or take 1d4 psychic damage and have disadvantage on the next attack roll. That sounds like a psychic blast to me, or a like verbal disruption or something. But The beginning of it says you unleash a string of insults laced with subtle enchantments at a creature that can see you. I think the insults, you could change that to anything. It could be a musical voice, it could be something hypnotic, it could be, so that's just a personal part of me. But here goes some other spells that we know of, right? So first and second level spells, we've got like animal friendship, pretty interesting. Bane and Bless, which is an enchantment, and I'm thinking Bane and Bless is more like convincing a person that they're going to succeed or fail rather than like a hex of some sort. We've got, of course, the top notch ones: Charm Person, Command, Heroism, Sleep Spell. I think, let's see, Charm Person. I believe it is. Where is it? Um, The charmed creature. Here we go. I can't highlight it. The charmed creature regards you as a friendly acquaintance. When the spell ends, the creature knows it was charmed by you. Yeah. Yeah, you're not getting away with that one. Because they're gonna want to beat ass after that, probably. Um, there's also like hideous laughter, sleep spell. We're getting into like calm emotions and enthrall. A hold person is an enchantment spell. And then as we get higher, we've got things like zone of truth, excellent interrogation ability. Compulsion, confusion is really great to cause, well, confusion. Dominate beast and person. Uh, okay, let me see how many ways I can mispronounce this. Gaius, geese. Oh, oh man, whatever. the a legendarily mispronounced word in our Dungeons and Dragons history. I'll get to the chat in a minute. Hold on. As we get into fifth, sixth, seventh level spells, mass suggestion, Otto's irresistible dance. Damn it, Otto. um, Dominate monster, feeble mind's always a great one, and of course we've got the legendary power word stun and power word kill. Yeah. Okay. Let's get back into the chat here. I apologize for that, guys. But yeah, these are some of our classic. Dead Man's like Jesus. Is it Jesus? Oh man, geese, Gaius. Oh man, I gotta agree with you there. I'm back in the chat now. Sorry about that, co-host. Mike's like, those that call necromancers evil haven't faced an enchanter. Yeah, it's a little difficult to rationalize taking away someone's free will and going like, I'm a good enchanter. Now, mind you, you could convince people that they are better than they really need to be, or erase trauma from people's minds, or um, a good enchanter might be someone who martyrs themselves for a good reason, right? Like I do. It's the Batman formula, right? I'm going to do the evil thing and I'm going to violate people because this leads me to a better thing in the future, like a better thing for society or something. But people who rationalize evil actions are evil by nature anyway, so we can do some of that. Um, yeah. Mike Gould's like suggestion is the bomb. Yeah, suggestion and hypnotic, leaving hypnotic bombs in people's minds, I think is pretty cool. I mean, I know you didn't mean that physically, but I like the idea of like a psychic bomb about to go off that could, cause people's brains and ears to bleed, or the first episode of a television show that was about the witches of the Salem witches became good guys. Oh, I cannot remember the name of this show. It was one season. And in it, a spell goes off, and everyone in a local mall walked up to the top floor of the mall and jumped off the balcony. And they were just jumping off of it one by one. I was like, oh, God, that's sick. Anyway, Cameron says, after thinking about it, I don't feel comfortable using enchantment magic as a player in D&D. Also, I don't tend to use it on players when I'm DMing. I might have a victim of missing time as an NPC, though. You know what? That comes up with its own problems, right? Because while a player who's killed or damaged or whatever, or they're paralyzed or whatever, we have the game system has mechanisms for them to fight against it, but taking away a player's free will is that's one of like the big taboos, which is kind of strange because we know mind powers from evil people is a thing, but it's like almost a no-no if you kind of think about it, right? In Dungeons and Dragons. So yeah, it's or any role-playing game for that matter, but that can be its own topic about taking away agency. And so you might want to foreshadow the mental big bads in your world so that the players understand what's going to happen to them before it happens instead of going, ha ha, you're mind control. You know what I mean? Wayne says, by the way, DBJ, after my last visit here, I discovered a line of in-depth books on various subjects written by some hack postal worker out east. When I find my way back into D&D, I may have to buy some. I think I know who you're talking about. And yeah, you're going to have to like, I would be careful about diving into those books. Oh man, yeah, you guys are like, mm-mm-mm. Oh my, ooh. Cam is like responding to Mike, one of our you guys, my co-host says, fighter, would rather this guy use your dead dog as a slave, or would you rather this guy make you eat your dead dog? Ooh, ooh, either one. God, oh man. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Suggestion is subtle, and the target thinks it's their idea. You know, it would be a great idea if you unlocked that door. You may need it later, right? And God, how many times? Oh man, there's even a um hey JP just mentioned like, yeah, just finished watching the divination episode back to back DBJ. Well, thank you very much there. Dead Man brings up Pusher was inspired by Purple Man from the comic books. And there's a movie called Push as well. And if when you finish, not first of all, not a bad sci-fi psychic powered movie, but when you get to the end of the movie and realize that the end of the movie circles back to the beginning, you're just like, oh, ooh. Now, mind you, did it have an excellent twist? It was all right because they kind of played you a little bit. But when you talk about like hypnotic suggestion and long-term effects, oh, I could see that. I could see that a lot. So we'll get it back into that. Yeah. Oh, and I definitely agree with you, Mike. Yeah, Kilgrave is a perfect example of the evil enchanter. Just the casual way he threw people away, man. I love that so much. Yep. Like Michael says, remember the X-Files villain Pusher? He was Kilgrave before Kilgrave. That's right. Yeah. So, all right. I'm with you there, Wayne. Wayne's remembers that. Oh, Push was a good film. Really, I'd forgotten about that. Push the they were, I guess you could say they were the pre superhero movies before they came out. Push, Jumper, Chronicle, things like that. I don't know what was another one. I Am Number Four, things like that. Yeah, Farscape. Let's see. Thomas Anderson says reminds me of the episode in Farscape where Scorpius used tech to force someone to bite one of their own fingers off, all while being aware but unable to stop themselves. Damn. Okay, so enchanters are pretty damn evil, and in many ways, I think players might have to play the role of. Again, I think this really lends itself to espionage, right? Because the player characters are, of course, are both going to have to use these both counter these abilities by using these abilities, knowing that the population looks at them as horribly evil, right? Um, absolutely. Oh man, Michael's like, I am reliving the Queensryche rock opera Operation Mind Crime. I love that. Yeah, I absolutely. man, I wish Farscape could come back, or a version of it, or a not a continuation, but like, hey, here's Farscape 10 years later, and get back into that world. I love that world. The I could see the player characters being the dark protagonists in a world of enchantment where not only do they have to discover who these mind controlling entities are, but going back to the suggestion is the bomb. I like the idea of like psychic bombs, meaning like there are insidious elements hiding in the almost as if we are playing on two levels of the world, a physical one and a psychic one. Hey Vince, what's going on? Vince is going to make an appearance on the show, as a matter of fact, having been a co-host like you guys as well, although appearing, I was going to say physically, visually, I guess. But I could see the players having to almost be like proctors or secret police, policing a population, knowing that there's something out there that's building within the community, though although the community doesn't know it yet. Yeah. Oh yes. Oh yes. Yeah. Oh yes. Exactly. Because Michael brings this up as well. Red Dice Diaries mentions makes me think of the Psycore in I'm pronouncing it Psycore in Babylon 5, where they could implant telepathic limits or commands in people's subconscious, turning them into sleeper agents entirely unaware that they had been influenced. And yes, finding sleeper agents, and mind you, this we're talking fantasy, so this might even be a thing where the psychic switch be, the psychic switch switches something in people's minds that turns them more like something, turns them bestial or opens up their awareness. Like for example, imagine unlocking someone's brain, and I'm going to try to get a little mechanical here, right? Like we understand what a banshee is. The banshee lets out the scream, and you got to close cover your ears, or you're going to die from it. Imagine unlocking someone's brain, and their psychic power comes out, and they start screaming, and they become a psychic banshee, or ghosts of sorts invade people's minds, and they're like maybe their bodies crumple down to the ground, but their psychic uh, resonance becomes a real thing that it escapes. And so the player characters might be like psychic secret police going around to find the enemies of this world, the Council of Seven. That's uh, it's my go-to, right? So maybe the Council of Seven are all psychic masters that have infiltrated their way in the world, and no one knows what they look like. We don't know where they are. Maybe they don't even have a physical form. And man, it would be pretty interesting. Oh, um, there we go. Vince says, did we talk about human hive minds already? No, we haven't. Now, here's the other thing that's awesome about like psychic powers. If we go past the word enchantment into psionics, which essentially they're the same thing, all you have to do is they're just words. A rose by any other name is still a rose, right? Enchantment magic is psionics. So if we look at it that way, anything like hive minds, anything like um, the an enemy that's going into innocent people. So your barbarian that wants to can murder, kill anything in the room. Sure, the what's the movie? I'm thinking of Denzel Washington, Fallen. In the movie Fallen, there is an evil entity. It's essentially a demon that with a simple touch, that demon is leaping from person to person, and the people that the demon is inside of don't even realize it. And he keeps doing the song like no, what is it? Time is on my side. Yes, it is. And that was a crazy evil villain when you realize that with a simple touch, this villain can like snake through the population and no one knows it. So I'm really loving this, especially when the players can see the bad guy, and the mortals are like, why are you attacking innocent people? The barbarian's got wiping blood off the blade, like, oh, he keeps leaping from person to person. Hack, hack, hack. Yeah, I'm with you there, Mike. But anyway, getting back up to the chat, because I'm passing by a number of comments here. Man. Yeah, Mike Gould mentions that possession as enchantment is a great premise. A villain that's a ghost jumping body to body, committing crimes is awesome. I believe either X Files or Fringe did that. If I'm not mistaken, I think they both did something like that. And in Dungeons and Dragons, hearing the ability to hear has a lot to do with enchantment, right? So we can kind of play with that thing. I like playing with puzzles. So maybe in this society, um, silence becomes a cultural norm to prevent other people from influencing you, right? Like, I don't want to hear what you have to say because you might influence my mind. So imagine a psychic in this world who has to talk to people using charm person and friend spells and mass suggestion by talking to them. But people walk around with a self wearing gag, or there's a code of silence and whatnot to stop them from saying things. Like, these could be cultural norms in this world, and I love it. Cam's like, there's a Denzel movie about demons. I haven't seen it. Yeah, it's called Fallen. It's pretty great, and it's got a dark ending too. um yeah, Vince. Oh yeah, we talked about the purple band, Kilgrave. Yeah, oh, you can find that from the beginning. Kilgrave is, and versions of Kilgrave before Kilgrave came out. What we talked about, Pusher from X Files, right? So yeah. Yeah, I thought I TA is like, oh, you were not paying attention. I said, let me tell you about the time I almost died. I almost died. Yeah, I didn't, because I yeah. Let me tell you about something. Oh man. You're so silly, Red Dice. JP mentions says an aggressive infliction of telepathy onto someone. Now everyone else can hear your thoughts as loud as you shout in the room. Isn't that the premise of Chaos Walking? But yeah, you um un unbridled affliction of a psychic power, right? Opening up someone's mind, and now their thoughts are broadcasting everywhere, driving someone insane, or a player character gets driven insane by hearing too many thoughts in their brain, right? That's also a possibility. Maybe even um like th- the description of how powers are used might be a thing. Like, I'm going to cast confusion. Well, maybe you don't cast confusion. What you do is, maybe every mortal being has the potential for psychic awareness, and all you do is unlock that code, and now that person's confused because they just keep hearing things. Or you could start an issue between two people who are keeping secrets from each other, and now all they hear are the real thoughts, and they're like, what do you mean you don't like my pot pies? And they're like, I didn't say that. And like, yes, you did. And causing a fight that way. I love that kind of stuff. Red Dice says, the old saying, arose by any other name, would seize control of your mind, subjugate your personality, and control you. Hey, I remember that. You are all, ooh, you are already dead to me, meme. Now we do know that there are like the sleep spell, or what is it, the command spell. One, you say to somebody one word and they commit that command. And of course there's the issue of like telling someone to drop dead or tell someone to kill themselves has an issue. But the fact that someone knows something happened, like maybe there's psychic residual that you can detect. Like, player characters go into a small town and they have to investigate something, and they can see the psychic residual effects of someone that had been mind controlled, but they are currently not under that influence. Or using individuals that have been or are under mind control and tracing back through the weave or psychic resonance the individuals that are doing the thing, right? Like, each person, Professor X mind controlling someone is different than Jean Grey, for example, right? They might leave a signature that someone could detect. And I think that would be awesome too. Hmm. Red Dice says, silence as a cultural norm. Interesting. If you've not seen it, you should watch the film Pontypool, where a zombie-like infection is spreading through the speaking and hearing of language. Ooh, I like that idea. Like the purposeful silence and deafening of a population to stop the spread of mind control, or maybe people walk around with shackles to stop people from doing things like sleepwalking might be a norm in this world. Well, or in the setting, there's cities where like sleepwalking is just a norm, and people are just average citizens just get tackled and chained down for some reason, and the PCs are like, "What the hell's going on?" And everyone's just like, "Tackle that person," and they're like, "Why are there shackles just randomly hanging on walls everywhere? I don't get that." Vince says, on the positive side of enchantments, there would be magic therapy or trauma erasure. You could also implant knowledge or positive memories. Ooh, maybe. All right. I know that the chat has moved on here just quite a bit, but imagine the origin of your player character is a psychic being. And instead of you being one character, all you do is just move from person to person and takes all your memories with you. So let's say I'm playing a bard, and you're not a musical playing bard. What you are is you're a lore based bard that gathers knowledge, but your character every time is a different gender, race, person. Each time you show up, and you're just all you are is like a psychic entity sitting on the shoulder or in the back of the brain of another player character, and the reasoning for your character to exist is that you're psychic, but in game you do have a physical form. You just meet random people, so you're evilly taking over other people. And you could add the background. What is it? Folk hero background. But you're not one of folk hero. You're different individuals. Yes, like Mike Gould says. So essentially, a trill like in DS9. Yep, D Space Nine. Yes, yes. There. Which brings up the idea of herds. Individuals who want to be mind controlled, or who have been conditioned to be mind controls. They're empty shells, or people who, at the end result of you mind controlling them, they are now left with a residual byproduct that grants them capabilities. So your fifth level bard or sorcerer or wizard goes into someone's body, and when you leave, they're left with your +3 performance skill, +5 stealth skill, those three tool proficiencies you have, and you leave that person with those abilities. And even though they might have a little bit of like the subconscious, like, you left them with a little murder hoboism inside of them, maybe they're left with some kind of skills or something. Like it's a trade-off. And maybe there are even individuals who like physically and mentally work themselves out to work up like the Trill, who want to become this repository of psychic energy, and that's your player character. That would be awesome. All right, so sorry. Going back into our coworkers here. Um, yeah. There's in the Vampire the Masquerade. There's a top tier Vampire the Masquerade presence power called Majesty. Yeah, Vampire the Masquerade has some great um, um, separations of how to do mind influence and mind control. Because in Vampire the Masquerade, there's two mental influence powers. There's presence and dominate, and both of them influence the population differently. Presence is more subtle and more and isn't direct mind control, where dominate is. So yeah, oh yeah. Um, Ooh, let's see. Cameron says they're an alien species in Doctor Who that makes you forget them after you look away. They took over Earth thousands of years ago and used humanity to develop tech. Yeah, forgetting who you are could be a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe you accidentally have a psychic residue that makes people forget who you are, but at the same time you can't make any connections. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, Mike Gould mentions that a vampire with majesty can literally walk through a room like parting the Red Sea. No one can harm this person. I love that. I love that effect so much. And what a great way to describe something like sanctuary or shield spell or something like that. Oh, my shield spell doesn't block attacks. The person just forgets I'm there. They look right past me, and then the attack misses, and then they like kind of blinking, like, oh wait, there they are. Almost like a blur spell or like a displacer beast kind of thing or something like that. That would be awesome. Um, mm-mm-mm. Thank you there, Restream. Here we go. Mike Gould mentions residual memories are part of the new reborn lineage. A reborn Frankenstein being might become an enchanter because they literally remember being one in a past life. And what a great way to start an adventure, right? Hey, player character, when you go to sleep or meditate, you get a psychic image or connection or communication from someone to go to a place to do a thing, right? Instead of the I'm in a tavern and the old man comes in with the map, maybe the player character gets summoned by the Council of Seven to do a thing or communicate, or the player character gets pulled into a psychic network, not by their choice, or maybe they become like the fly on the wall and they get to see these individuals that are separated by leagues of distance, but inside the mind they are something else as well. Oh, you guys, trying to keep up with you guys. Let's see. Vince Brent mentions that isn't that also how obfuscate works in Vampire the Masquerade? You don't become invisible; others simply ignore you. It is basically a form of mind control. Absolutely, and absolutely, the invisibility spell in Dungeons and Dragons isn't enchantment, but I would absolutely either A, say it is, or B, don't change it, but say that's how it works for my character, right? Like, no, my invisibility spell doesn't alter light waves. It just makes you ignore who I am, right? I like that. Maybe Misty Step isn't you teleporting, it's you walking past people to get to the other place at the end of the Misty Step, and then people never see you passing through the crowd. You just go, I'm going to Misty Step, run, 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 and then people are just like blink, blink, like, where'd the person go? Tap on the shoulder, I'm behind you, smack in the back of the head, you know. Yeah, and there was a show called Alphas where it was a modern day where human beings had latent, oh, half psychic, half like human. It relates to this comment. Okay, so Wayne brings up there's actually some science on that. Wavelengths can send out that we have no real idea why about in terms of ignoring people. There was a person in the show called Alphas that could stand in your peripheral vision, turning invisible. And so they weren't invisible. It was they would stand in your blind spot. And I like that. Oops. Yep, Mike Gould says the shadow knows, right? The shadow can alter memories, dominate, cause fear, become invisible, convince others that the room is dark, all basically psychic, psionics or enchantment. And again, maybe the darkness spell in this world isn't the darkness spell. Oh, blindness, deafness spell, right? It's you're not blind. I just convinced you can't see. You know, you're not deaf. I just convinced you can't hear anything. And you're like, no. Vince mentions, well, that would drastically limit the Misty Step uses. Right, like Misty stepping into a tree that you can't normally climb. Right. Try to convince the cliff that you are on its other side. I hear you. Yeah, you're right there, Vince. I hear you. But anyway, it's me pulling. Listen, I get to pull things out my ass, not you. Well, no, I give you permission to do that. Um, oh man. TA mentions a parasite might well actually be connecting people together, and the illness is caused by fear of what is going on when they suddenly start psychically start hearing voices of other people, thoughts, other people's thoughts, and can't shut them off due to not having any idea what is going on. And I like the idea that I still love this idea that there's something now. In Dungeons and Dragons, the psychic plane of existence could very easily be something ethereal, and the players are kind of playing on both levels, both physical and ethereal. If you don't really want to stretch the rules too much, you might want to do like a dreamscape kind of thing where the players might have to go between the physical world using their strength, dex, con, and then when they go into the dream world, the you're replacing dex, strength, con with intelligence, wisdom, charisma as replacing those skills. So the wizard in the bard or whatever, the cleric in the group, um, their intelligence becomes their strength in the dream world. Like that's been done before, and that's really easy to do. Um, yeah, like Michael brings up the like the Matrix. I know kung fu. Yeah. Um, yeah, we mentioned this before. Like Mike Gould says, there's really a blurry line between enchantment and illusions when it comes to psychic perception. Again, these categories of magic, rather than, I mean, I know they're called schools, but the categories of magic, there is a there is a blur between like, hey, if I make an illusion of a brick wall, is that the same as me convincing you there's a brick wall in front of you using mind control or mind influencing? Yep. Yeah. TA says, so in the dream world, someone is saying, you think that's air you're breathing? Mm-mm. No, don't try to hit me. Hit me. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that would be pretty interesting to convince. Hey, power word stun, power word kill. That's what that power is. You. Oh, you think you're still alive? No, you're just a dead man walking, and a person's like, oh, my heart. Arr. Oh man, I love it. Oh yeah, sorry about that, Tia. Yeah, it's he mentions that, man, this is annoying how that is so close to the enter key breaking messages. Yeah, the you're fine. And also I'm using a streaming method. I'm using a streaming method that's taking your comments like on Twitter, I mean sorry, Twitch and YouTube, and combining them together. So there is like it's like there's another filter in it. So even if it's appearing as one comment in YouTube, it might be broken up when I get to see it. So sorry, you're fine. You guys are fine. Um, all right, now I so we have ourselves some enemies, and I think we could even go so far as to have physical transformations, like a human being becoming like an ogre, or maybe even going so far as to become a hill giant, or by unlocking, like we could say in this setting that there is something that can be unlocked in human beings, or when I say human, I mean all of the player characters, civilized races, let's say, that allows them to become something else, so that the players that are the investigators in this world, or maybe even the players, let's put it the opposite way, maybe the player characters have these abilities, and there's a secret police going after the player characters to shut them down. Like, if I'm part of the Council of Seven that's trying to mentally dominate a whole society, I don't want enemies, and player characters might be on the run, trying not to do the take away people's free will, but they have to in order to survive. Or we can even go towards like a Cthulhuoid kind of thing where, you know, the Cthulhu mythos has awakened and is running around the world, causing people to go insane and go mad and be infected with like parasites, leeches in their brains, and causing them to have like psychic abilities. And the players are on the run, and now there may even be things where human beings um, unlocking something in someone's brain is only a limiting factor to make them become bestial, or to mutate. That it's only because of civilization that we're this way. Maybe back in the day, humanity wasn't as humanoid as we would like to think they are. So I like that. Ooh, Prophecy. What a great movie. Mike Gould says, thinking about Prophecy, where Gabriel, Christopher Walken, what a great character in that movie. Ooh, great character. Places his finger to his lips and shushes someone. They either sleep or die instantly. Yeah, what he says something to the effect of when you were crying in your mama's womb, I'm the one that came to your lips and went shh and shush you to sleep or something. It's very, very icky. Oh my god! And he's like that, basically making the hint that that gap, that bow in your lip right below your nose, is him putting his finger against your lips and going shh. And I was like, oh my god, ow, ugh, stop touching me, stop touching me. Uh, yeah, the meats from the Cthulhu, the meats from the Cthulhu mythos. Yeah, or I what did I call them before? Lobots, like people that have been lobotomized, essentially walking around like zombies, but they're not necrotic zombies. They are psychically dead zombies. They're human beings that don't have any free will. They just wander around trying to physically eat the brains of other people because they don't have any minds in themselves and they're suffering and they're trying to eat people because they have no other, they're trying to get something back into their brain where there's no links. It's just all chaos and pain and suffering, and the only thing they can think of is to eat the brains of other people. Anyway, Thomas Anderson says, so if so, though, you would have to work in the fact that they are layered and only look down, so they have no idea there are other meeps above them, even though they see others below them and do feed on. Um, yes, and I'm like, yeah, that what a great problem to have, right? Like um, a caste system, levels of psychic, like. I'm being mind controlled, but I'm also like a psychic master myself. But the only reason I'm a psychic master is because someone else is pulling my strings as a puppet master, and then the player characters have to find the puppet, find the strings to trace back to the other puppet masters and stuff. Yeah, I love that idea. Red Dice Diary is like, I love Viggo Mortensen as the devil in Prophecy. What a great evil protagonist in that series, in that movie. Oh man. Mm-mm-mm. Let's see what's his comment here. Thomas Anderson says, the rest of the comment. Oh, anyway, meets with each other. And he says, but when one snatches one from above, the others have no idea what happened to them. Like the 2D person having no idea of what up is. Like the 2D person not knowing what a 3D person is. Like a person existing on a psychic level, I'm sorry, a person existing in the physical world, not knowing and not being able to see or comprehend someone living on a psychic level, and then maybe someone like in the ethereal plane doesn't see someone in the dreamscape world. Like you could kind of like relate it back to that. Oh, there. Oh, yeah. Emotional control. Ooh, are there any characters you guys can think of that control emotions? That's another thing too. Like just causing chaos. The causing Scarecrow is a great character too that does a thing with emotions. There was a great in the Batman animated series. The Scarecrow used a spray that took away people's fear. That's a great psychic thing where people no longer have fear, and that fear starts destroying society or just causing rage, walking through a crowd of people and causing people to go into rage and outright destroying each other. Um, the movie The Kingsman movie, cell phones affecting people's minds and causing them to try to kill each other. And that great scene where the Kingsman agent starts blowing people away inside of the church and whatnot. Yeah, hell, chaos is a ladder, right? So a person who just has the psychic ability to cause people to go mad and crazy and insane, but able to walk through crowds as they start like beating each other to death and pulling out each other's internal organs and wearing them as scarves and whatnot. Oh man, it's great. Constantine. Oh yeah, I love that. Michael brings up something. Anyway, Mike says I have a homebrew monster called a Sarah bug. It's a cat-sized flea that attaches to the back of a victim and gouges out the skull. It then puppets the body around. I hate that stuff. I love it. Yeah, yeah, man. Anything that crawls into a human orifice or digs themselves their own hole to get inside of a human being, I hate it. I love it so much. Uh, oh, it's like ants crawling on a body. Got it. Oh, um, but yeah, anything that's insectoid slash tentacled that maybe like rides on someone's back, or maybe no one sees this, but the player characters can see like a spider like creature attached to the side of someone's face, and it's like a face hugger where it's got like it's proboscis inside of someone's ear that's infected their brain, or like you said, from the front the person's like, "Hey, how are you?" And from behind you just see like this pit and the tail end of this tick like flea like creature that's dug its hole inside of the human person, puppeting them. Ah, I love that. Oh man, Wayne's like, this channel really makes me want to get back into the game. Very stimulating. Yeah, Wayne, that's dude. I'm a man of a certain age, and I'm I was where you were at, man. When I just got into online, like listening to people and watching people online, and I was like, man, I got to get back into gaming, and then trying to find a group. It's difficult for me to do it because I my whenever I clock into work, I never know when I'm getting off. Literally over the last like 27 years, I clock in and I have no idea when my day ends, and it's really difficult to do that. And by the end of the day, I'm like wasted. I'm completely wasted. So it's very difficult, very very difficult. um, Mike says, I've seen a party fireball itself because of a Sarah bug. Why did you do that, Sarah bug? Oh, shit. Fair. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, um, I you may not want to go this far, but you could recontextualize most spells as psychic, including the damage it causes. Like, oh, that's not shocking grasp, it's psychic grasp. That's not a fireball, that's a psychic ball. Like make everything psychic damage or something. Now, you wouldn't want to do that with everything because a fireball could very well be like pyrokinetics or cryokinetics or electrokinetics, electromagnetic kinetics or something. Yeah, yeah. Not Tensor's floating disk, but telekinetic lift. Just like levitation or feather fall or the fly spell are all like telekinetic spells. Like you could go through the entire spell list and just go like, oh, this is going to be telekinetic. This is going to be pyrokinetic. This is going to be mental intrusion. This is going to be telepathic. This is going to be psychokinetic or something like that. Like you could very easily do that. Not easily, but if you wanted to, you could do that. Oh yeah, yeah. Cameron says there's a fungus that takes over the minds of ants and eventually kills it by growing out of its head. Here's a little side note. I included that fungus in the cinematic environs wetlands that I happen to be one of the primary writers on. And yes, the fungus causes the ant to climb to a high area and make its head explode, spraying out fungal spores. The same thing happens to player characters. Hint, hint, hint. Oh man. Wayne's like, hey, DBJ, I'm 59, old school AD and D. Oh yeah, yeah. All my stuff is second and first and second edition, and I feel the struggle in finding a game I could fit into. Haven't DM since 3.5 was a thing. Oh, oh, dude, you're not alone. There's people. Come on, Dungeon Musings. That dude's his whole channel is dedicated to playing a different role playing game and going back to AD&D. That's it. He plays AD&D and another role playing game. Dungeon Musings. Go find that dude, man. He's great. Actual plays, a ton of them. That's all it is. Yeah, Thomas Anderson says Toxo also causes rats to lose fear of cats and are attracted to things. Yep, attracted to things like cat urine that places them in the path of cats to be eaten, and the parasite cannot replicate properly anywhere but the cat. Yes. Side note: I included that parasite into wetlands as well, and guess what? I even included like cat folk. I couldn't use the term tabaxi. Even catfolk and werecats are immune to it, even though they spread the 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 parasite through things. If you understand what I'm saying, but it's a weird thing. But yes, I included that in there. Yeah. Cam's like, one word about dungeon musings. Oh shit! Whoop, missed it. Yeah, a word about dungeon musings. Splendid. Yeah. Oh, and here's some other here. Hey, Wayne. Here's some other ones. Yep. Look up OSR, which stands for, okay, old school Renaissance, old school rules. Whatever. It's the OSR is the embrace and the support and the continuation of Beck Me Basic first, second edition, and that general school or era of gaming. That's all OSR, like Dungeon Crawl Classics, Castles and Crusades, um, SNS, Sorcerer. Come on, you guys know Lamentations of the Flame Princess. Oh man, so many other things. Oh, you already know. Yeah, Wayne's like, yeah, love Kevin Madison, watch Dungeon Musings all the time. That and this are my top channels of interest. Well, thank you very much for making me number two. Old school Renaissance. I've Questing Beasts is a great channel. Does excellent reviews of gaming, and most recently has been doing panels with other game creators that are in the same realm. So yeah, Questing Beasts, excellent. Old school Renaissance, old school rules, old school revival. Sorry, are the ones I've heard. Yep, absolutely. Old school OSR games would interest us older people. I plan on running worlds without number when I get back to in person gaming. Uh, oh man, there's so many of them. It's really great. Before I get out of here, that's pretty nasty. Toxo is also apparently in almost all people with schizophrenia, and bringing several people infected and having schizophrenia will cause them to calm down almost instantly. Real science there. I didn't include that, but yes, that is a thing where the schizophrenia reduces when they gather together. It's really weird, but yeah, it is real science. Oh man, yeah. Mike Gould mentions like Questing Beast. Yep, Questing Beast is a skilled mapper. Got me back into hand drawing, and Questing Beast has a bunch of materials out there. And Dead Man, who's absolutely bringing up the fact that I got to get out of here, guys. Please go to levelup5e.com. I'm one of the contributing writers amongst 20 plus others in a project for N World to create advanced 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, talking about 1st and 2nd edition. This is advanced 5th edition. The playtest materials are out. The Kickstarter hasn't started yet. I'm very proud of the beginning of the journey rules because I was brought on as one of the individuals to help with the exploration pillar of gaming, to the point where it's probably going to be as big, if not bigger, than the combat section, which I'm really proud of. So yeah, absolutely. Swords and Wizardry. Yep. Swords and Wizardry is another great one. Man, it's you guys are going off. By the way, everyone out there who's interested in these other games, please check out the chat. My co-hosts are brilliant, positive, intellectually stimulating individuals who come here every day to just be part of it. Please subscribe. Go over and check out Red Dice Diaries. It's not just a handle; it's a channel. So go over, check out Red Dice Diaries. Check out the Purple Worm podcast and all that good stuff as well. A number of people who stop by the channel, like Mike Gould, are also content creators and such. So check out not only what they're doing, but how they do it with who they do it with. It sounds dirty. I'm going to leave it like that. And lastly, Michael says, be well, DBJ. See you tomorrow. What's the topic tomorrow? Is it necromancy? Evocation? Yeah, necromancy, illusion, or necromancy. Let's see, should it be necromancy? No, it's evocation tomorrow. And as a matter of fact, when I get out of here, I will open up the link. Hey, man. Hey. And lastly, Wayne, Brock says, all right, thank you, everyone. DB, my good man, excellent stuff. Was worth getting up this damn early for. Smash the like button, folks. Yep. Everybody have a great one. Thank you there, Red Dice. Thank you there, Mr. AL. Everybody have a great one. I will see you tomorrow. Peace.